on a cold and lonely land near the Arctic Circle, far away from cities and people. There's a small metal cap fixed tightly to the ground. If someone walks past it, they may not even notice it. It looks old, rusty, and unimportant. But this small metal cover is hiding something very special. Under it lies the deepest hole ever made by humans, known as the Kola Superdeep Borehole. This hole is not just deep. It is a symbol of human curiosity, ambition, and a desire to explore the unknown. During the time of the Soviet Union, scientists wanted to dig deeper into the Earth than anyone had ever done before. They were not only looking for natural resources like oil or gas, but also for knowledge. They wanted to understand what the Earth is made of and what secrets were hidden far below the surface. This project started during a time when the world was divided between powerful countries, especially the Soviet Union and the United States. Both were competing in many ways, including science and technology. After the space race slowed down, scientists began to look for new challenges. Instead of going up into space, they decided to go down into the Earth. The idea was simple but very difficult to achieve. Drill a hole so deep that it would reach parts of the Earth no human had ever seen or studied directly. At first, everything seemed normal. The drilling machines worked as expected, and the rocks behaved just like scientists had predicted. But as they went deeper and deeper, things started to change. The Earth did not behave the way they thought it would. The deeper they drilled, the more surprises they found. It was as if the planet was hiding secrets that did not want to be discovered. This made the project even more exciting, but also more dangerous and difficult. The deeper they went, the hotter it became, and the pressure increased to levels that were hard to imagine. Machines started to fail, and progress became slower. Still, the scientists continued because they believed they were close to something important. This hole, which may look small from the outside, became one of the greatest scientific experiments in human history. It showed us that even though we live on this planet, we still know very little about what lies beneath our feet. The Kola Superdeep Borehole is not just a hole in the ground. It is a reminder that the Earth is full of mysteries waiting to be discovered. The Kola Superdeep Borehole project officially began on May 24th, 1970, in a remote area of the Kola Peninsula in northern Russia. The location was carefully chosen because scientists believed the Earth's crust in that region was thinner, which meant they could reach deeper layers more easily. The Soviet government supported this project strongly because it was not only a scientific mission, but also a matter of national pride. They wanted to show the world that they could achieve something no other country had done before. To begin the drilling, they built a powerful drilling machine called the Euromash 4E. This machine was specially designed to handle extreme conditions, including high pressure and temperature deep underground. At the start, everything went smoothly. The drill moved through layers of rock without major problems, and the scientists were happy to see that their early predictions were correct. The temperature increased gradually, and the types of rocks they found matched what they expected based on earlier studies. For the first few kilometers, it felt like a normal and successful scientific project. The team of scientists and engineers worked day and night, carefully studying the rock samples that came up from the deep hole. Each piece of rock told a story about the Earth's history. They could see how the Earth had changed over millions and even billions of years. This made the project very exciting, as it allowed them to learn things that were impossible to study from the surface. However, as the drilling continued, the situation began to change. At around 7 kilometers deep, something unexpected happened. Scientists had always believed that at a certain depth, the type of rock would change from granite to basalt. This boundary was known as the Conrad discontinuity. It was an important part of geological theory, and many experts were confident that it existed. But when the drill reached that depth, they found no such change. The granite continued, and there was no sign of basalt. This confused the scientists and made them question what they thought they knew about the Earth. It was the first major sign that their understanding was not complete. Even though this discovery was important, it was also a problem because it meant that their models and predictions were wrong. Still, the team decided to continue drilling. They knew that the deeper they went, the more they would learn. What started as a straightforward project was slowly turning into something much more complex and mysterious as the drilling pushed deeper into the Earth. The Kola Superdeep Borehole project began to reveal discoveries that surprised even the most experienced scientists. around 9 kilometers below the surface. The team encountered something that many believe should not exist at such depths: water. According to earlier scientific understanding, the rocks at that level should have been so tightly compressed that no liquid could move through them. The pressure was extremely high, thousands of times greater than what we feel on the surface, and the temperature was also rising quickly. Under such conditions, it was thought that water simply could not survive. But when the drill brought samples back up, they were wet. This shocked the scientists. After careful study, they realized that the water was not flowing freely like rivers or lakes. Instead, it was trapped inside tiny cracks and spaces within the rock, held there under immense pressure. This water had likely been there for millions, or even billions, of years. It showed that the Earth's crust was not as solid and unbreakable as once believed. Instead, it was more like a complex network filled with small spaces and hidden pathways. This discovery changed the way scientists thought about underground systems, and even had an impact on how they understood natural resources like oil and gas. But the surprises did not end there. As the drill went deeper, the temperature began to rise much faster than expected. Scientists had predicted that at the maximum depth, the temperature would be around 100 degrees Celsius. However, when they reached over 12 kilometers, the temperature was nearly 180 degrees Celsius. This was far beyond what their equipment was designed to handle. The heat made the rocks behave in unusual ways. Instead of being hard and brittle, the rocks became softer and more flexible, almost like thick plastic. This created serious problems for the drilling process. Every time the drill was removed, the hole would begin to close in on itself because the surrounding rock was slowly moving and pressing inward. It was like trying to keep a tunnel open in something that wanted to seal itself shut. This made it very difficult to continue drilling deeper. Equipment often got stuck or damaged, and progress became slower and more dangerous. Despite these challenges, the team continued their work because each new discovery was changing their understanding of the Earth. They realized that the deeper parts of the Earth's crust were not cold, solid, and lifeless as once imagined. Instead, they were dynamic, hot, and full of hidden activity. These findings were important not just for geology, but also for understanding how our planet works as a whole. The deeper they went, the clearer it became that the Earth still held many secrets, and that humans had only just begun to uncover them. One of the most surprising and fascinating discoveries of the Kola Superdeep Borehole project came in the late 1980s, when the drilling reached its greatest depth of over 12 kilometers. At this point, scientists were mainly focused on studying the rocks and understanding how the Earth's crust behaved under extreme heat and pressure. But during a routine examination of rock samples brought up from the deep hole, they found something completely unexpected: microscopic fossils. These fossils were not large or visible to the naked eye. They were tiny remains of ancient life forms, preserved deep within the rock. When scientists studied them more closely, they identified around 20 different types of microscopic organisms. What made this discovery truly amazing was not just the presence of fossils, but their age and location. The rocks in which these fossils were found were estimated to be around 2 billion years old. This means the organisms lived at a time when life on Earth was still very simple, long before dinosaurs or even complex plants existed. At that time, most life forms were single-celled organisms living in ancient oceans. Finding their remains deep underground raised many questions. How did these fossils end up so far below the surface? And how were they still preserved after such a long time under extreme conditions? Scientists believe that these rocks were once part of the Earth's surface or ocean floor billions of years ago. Over time, due to movement of tectonic plates and geological processes, these layers were pushed deeper into the Earth. Even more surprising was the fact that traces of organic material, such as the structures that once formed the outer layers of these cells, were still detectable. This was unexpected because the high temperatures and pressures at such depths should have destroyed these delicate structures completely. Their survival suggested that under certain conditions, the deep Earth could preserve signs of ancient life much better than previously thought. This discovery changed how scientists think about the limits of life and preservation. It also opened new ideas about where life could exist, not only on Earth but possibly on other planets as well. If tiny life forms could survive and leave traces in such extreme environments, then maybe similar life could exist deep below the surfaces of planets like Mars. However, this finding was not widely known at first. The information was shared slowly, and some reports suggest that the Soviet authorities were cautious about releasing such surprising results to the world. Whether this was due to political reasons or simply scientific caution is still debated. What is clear is that the discovery of these ancient microscopic fossils added another layer of mystery to the Kola Superdeep Borehole. It showed that the Earth's deep interior is not just a place of heat and pressure, but also a hidden archive of life's history. These tiny fossils, buried for billions of years, became one of the most important pieces of evidence showing how much we still have to learn about our own planet as the Kola Superdeep Borehole project pushed closer to its maximum depth. The challenges became more serious than ever before. What started as a bold scientific mission was now turning into a battle against the natural limits of the Earth itself. The deeper the drill went, the hotter it became, and this rising temperature was the biggest problem the scientists faced. At depths beyond 10 kilometers, the heat was far greater than anyone had predicted. Instead of the expected 100 degrees Celsius, temperatures reached nearly 180 degrees Celsius. This level of heat created conditions that were extremely difficult for both machines and materials to survive. The metal parts of the drilling equipment began to weaken, and in some cases, they even started to bend or break under pressure. Drilling tools that were designed to cut through solid rock could no longer function properly because the rock itself was no longer behaving like solid stone. Instead, it became softer and more flexible due to the intense heat, almost like thick rubber or plastic. This made drilling very unpredictable. The drill bit could get stuck, or the walls of the borehole could collapse inward, trapping the equipment. One of the biggest problems was that every time a drill was pulled out to be repaired or replaced, the hole would begin to close. The surrounding rock, softened by heat and pressure, slowly moved back into place, reducing the size of the hole. This meant that the team had to constantly re-drill sections they had already completed, wasting time and resources. In some cases, expensive equipment was lost deep underground because it became stuck and could not be recovered. These technical difficulties slowed down progress and made it clear that reaching the original goal of 15 kilometers might not be possible. The engineers tried many solutions to overcome these problems. They improved the design of the drill bits, used stronger materials, and adjusted their drilling methods. But no matter what they did, the conditions deep underground remained too extreme. The Earth was simply not allowing them to go much further. It became clear that this was not just a scientific challenge, but a physical limit imposed by nature. Despite these setbacks, the project still provided valuable information. Scientists learned more about how materials behave under extreme conditions, which later helped in other fields such as engineering and energy production. However, the constant equipment failures and the increasing cost of the project began to raise concerns. The Soviet Union was also going through major political and economic changes during this time, which made it harder to continue funding such an expensive project. In the end, the combination of extreme heat, technical difficulties, and limited resources made it impossible to continue drilling deeper. The Kola Superdeep Borehole had reached its limit, not because of a lack of effort or determination, but because the Earth itself set a boundary that human technology could not cross at that time to be why the early 1990s. The Kola Superdeep Borehole project had reached a point where continuing any further was no longer possible. The deepest depth achieved was 12,262 meters, making it the deepest artificial point ever created by humans. Although this was an incredible achievement, it still fell short of the original goal of reaching 15 kilometers. Many people believe the project ended only because the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, which caused financial problems and stopped funding for large scientific experiments. While this is partly true, it is not the full story. The truth is that even if money had not been an issue, the extreme conditions deep underground had already made further drilling almost impossible. The heat, pressure, and unstable rock formations had pushed both the equipment and the scientists to their limits. In 1992, the decision was officially made to stop drilling. The site was slowly abandoned, and over time, the once busy research area became quiet and empty. Today, all that remains is a sealed metal cap covering the borehole, standing as a silent reminder of one of the most ambitious scientific projects in history. Even though the drilling stopped, the knowledge gained from the project did not end there. The The discoveries made at the Kola Borehole had a lasting impact on geology and our understanding of the Earth. Scientists learned that many of their earlier ideas about the Earth's crust were incomplete or incorrect. For example, the expected transition from granite to basalt did not occur as predicted, which forced scientists to rethink their models of the Earth's structure. The discovery of water deep within the crust also changed how researchers viewed underground systems and the movement of fluids beneath the surface. Additionally, the finding of microscopic fossils showed that the deep Earth could preserve signs of ancient life, opening new possibilities for studying the history of life on our planet. Another important lesson from the project was understanding the limits of human technology. It showed that even with advanced machines and careful planning, there are natural boundaries that cannot easily be crossed. However, this did not mean failure. In fact, many scientists consider the project a success because it provided valuable data that could not have been obtained in any other way. It also inspired future research and new ideas about exploring the Earth's interior. Today, scientists continue to study the data collected from the Kola Borehole, and new technologies are being developed that may one day allow us to drill even deeper. The project also serves as a powerful reminder that exploration is not only about reaching a goal, but also about learning along the way. Even though the borehole reached only a tiny fraction of the distance to the Earth's core, it revealed just how complex and mysterious our planet truly is. The Kola Superdeep Borehole remains a symbol of human curiosity and a desire to understand the unknown, proving that sometimes the journey itself is more important than the destination. Even after the Kola Superdeep Borehole project ended, its story did not disappear. Instead, it continued to grow, not only in science but also in popular culture, where fact and myths sometimes became mixed together. Over the years, many strange stories began to spread about the borehole. One of the most famous myths claimed that scientists had drilled so deep that they reached a place of fire and heard mysterious sounds coming from below, sometimes described as voices or screams. These stories became popular in newspapers and later on the internet, especially in the 1990s. However, there is no scientific evidence to support these claims. Most experts agree that these stories were exaggerated or completely false, possibly created to attract attention or entertain people. In reality, the Kola Borehole was a serious scientific project focused on studying the Earth's crust, not something mysterious or supernatural. Still, these myths show how powerful the idea of the unknown can be. When people hear about something as extreme as the deepest hole on Earth, it naturally creates curiosity and imagination beyond the myths. The real legacy of the project is found in the scientific knowledge it provided. The data collected from the borehole is still used today by geologists and researchers around the world. It helped improve our understanding of how heat moves inside the Earth, how rocks behave under extreme pressure, and how fluids like water can exist deep underground. These insights are important not only for science, but also for practical uses, such as energy production, mining, and understanding natural disasters like earthquakes. The project also inspired new ideas for future exploration. Today, scientists are once again thinking about drilling deeper into the Earth, but with better technology. New materials that can handle higher temperatures and pressures are being developed, and more advanced machines are being designed to go further than ever before. Some modern projects are focusing on drilling into the ocean floor, where the Earth's crust is thinner, making it easier to reach deeper layers. Others are exploring ways to study the Earth's interior using indirect methods, such as analyzing seismic waves or using advanced imaging techniques. These new approaches build on the lessons learned from the Kola Borehole. The project showed that even when we cannot reach our original goal, we can still gain valuable knowledge along the way. It also reminded scientists to question their assumptions and be open to surprises, because the Earth does not always behave as expected. Looking to the future, it is possible that one day humans will drill even deeper, perhaps reaching parts of the mantle or discovering new forms of underground activity. When that happens, the Kola Superdeep Borehole will be remembered as the first major step in that journey. It stands as a symbol of human curiosity, determination, and the endless desire to explore the unknown. Even though it is now sealed and silent, the questions it raised are still alive, waiting for future generations to answer them. The story of the Kola Superdeep Borehole is not just about a hole in the ground. It is about human curiosity, ambition, and the desire to understand the world we live in. When scientists first started this project, They believed they had a clear idea of what they would find beneath the Earth's surface. They had models, theories, and predictions based on years of research. But as the drilling went deeper, those ideas were challenged again and again. The Earth proved to be far more complex and surprising than anyone had imagined. From the unexpected presence of water deep within solid rock to the discovery of ancient microscopic fossils preserved for billions of years, each finding forced scientists to rethink what they knew. The extreme heat and pressure also showed that nature has limits that human technology cannot easily overcome. Even though the project did not reach its original goal, it still achieved something very important. It revealed how little we truly understand about our own planet. This realization is not a failure, but a powerful step forward. It reminds us that science is not just about proving what we already believe, but about discovering what we do not know. The Kola Borehole also changed the way people think about exploration. For many years, humans have looked to the sky, dreaming of reaching the moon, Mars, and distant stars. While space exploration is important, the Kola project showed that there are still many mysteries right here on Earth. Beneath our feet lies a world that is largely unexplored, full of hidden processes and unknown structures. Understanding this underground world is important for many reasons. It can help us find new energy sources, understand earthquakes and volcanic activity, and learn more about the history of life on our planet. The project also serves as a reminder that exploration is not always easy or successful in the way we expect. There are challenges, failures, and limits that must be faced. But every attempt brings new knowledge and new questions. Today, the Kola Superdeep Borehole remains sealed, quiet, and almost forgotten by many. Yet, it still holds a special place in the history of science. It represents one of the deepest journeys ever taken, not across oceans or through space, but straight down into the Earth itself. As technology continues to improve and new generations of scientists take on the challenge, it is possible that one day we will go even deeper. When that happens, the lessons learned from Kola will guide the way. In the end, the project teaches us something simple but powerful. No matter how much we discover, there will always be more to learn. The Earth still has many secrets, and the journey to uncover them has only just begun. The Kola Superdeep Borehole is more than just a scientific experiment. It is a symbol of human curiosity, ambition, and determination to explore the unknown. While the project focused on studying the Earth's crust, it also taught us many lessons about the limits of technology, the surprises hidden beneath the surface, and the ways nature defies our expectations. One of the most important lessons is that even when humans plan carefully and use advanced technology, the Earth can still surprise us. Scientists began the project with detailed models and predictions about temperature, pressure, and rock behavior. They believed they knew what they would find at certain depths. Yet, the deeper they drilled, the more their predictions were challenged. Rocks that should have been solid became soft and flexible under extreme heat. Water appeared where it should not have existed. Microscopic fossils survived for billions of years despite conditions that should have destroyed them. These discoveries forced scientists to question their understanding of geology, the Earth's structure, and the limits of life. Another important lesson is the value of persistence and patience in scientific exploration. Drilling the Kola Borehole was not easy. Machines broke, equipment was lost, and progress was slow. The project required decades of careful work, constant monitoring, and adjustments. Every time the drill advanced even a few meters, it represented years of effort and problem solving. The project also showed that exploration is often about more than reaching a specific goal. While the original plan aimed to reach 15 kilometers, the team stopped at 12.26 kilometers, far short of their target. Yet, the knowledge gained from reaching this depth was invaluable, revealing details about the Earth's crust that had never been known before. This teaches us that even when we do not achieve our original goals, the process of exploring, experimenting, and discovering is itself a form of success. The Kola Borehole also reminds us of the importance of respecting the natural world. The extreme conditions deep underground were not just obstacles